I'm Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So what's happening? Fucking hell, where am I standing? I'm sort of in a phase now where it's just fucking drudgery. It's just do whatever you can to make the work, bearable. I'm eating healthy. I'm not sleeping well, but fucking what can you do? When you've got an hour and a half to yourself every day, you try and push it out a little bit, even if you are a little bit tired. I've been having the fucking saunas as well, just pumping out the saunas. This little thing's fucking great. It gets super hot. It fucking doesn't take too long to heat up. It's fucking tight, small. I do a little bit of meditation in there. I've been fucking doing the sauna and then doing the podcast and almost falling asleep in between fucking recording and getting it out. One night I did fall asleep and I just couldn't open my fucking eyes. So there's that. The body's feeling all right. It is what it is now. I fucking also put some more money on iron last night, all my money, so I'm back down to zero. My thinking basically behind that is it's down 44% in the last month and literally nothing's changed. Bitcoin's dropped down a little bit, but it will be back up soon enough. Iron's at a 40% discount basically. Fundamentally, nothing has changed in the last month. Besides some economic fear. That's about it. I tell you what I am enjoying though. I'm enjoying my drives to work because I've got this book, Conceived in Liberty by Murray Rothbard. And this guy is he's the best. He's like a historian, scholar, economist, Austrian economist guy. He just gets down to the nuts and bolts of everything. He's fucking great. But I bought his book using my one credit on Audible. And then last night I was fucking around because there's this thing called the Mises Institute, named after the most famous Austrian economist, Ludwig von Mises. And this site has all the Austrian economists' shit. Like their books and fucking papers and thoughts and theories and fucking audiobooks. So I was flicking around the site last night and Murray Rothbard's 5 volumes of Conceived in Liberty is free on that site. So if you're interested in the true history of the foundation of the US of A, then go to the Mises Institute, MISES Institute, or I think it's just Mises.org, MISES.org. And you've got fucking all the audiobooks there for free. And listening to Murray Rothbard's books was the only reason I signed up to Audible. So that's a kick in the fucking nuts. But it's all there and it's all free, so go for it. I mean, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but fucking the detail and the fucking thoroughness of his historical writing is fucking unbelievable. And I'm only a few hours into the 80 hours, and basically the whole entire history of the world is basically normal people heroically trying to live a life of just normal freedom. Just normal people looking for some freedom, and the boot of the powers that be stomping on their throat. Whether it's the kings, whether it's feudalism, mercantilism, which mercantilism, I just learned what that is. That's how quickly I pretend to know things. I listened to that on the drive back from work today and they talked about mercantilism. And I'm like, yeah, mercantilism? Oh, I am a genius if I've just listened to a genius. Mercantilism basically, well, what I think it seems to be is the creation of monopolies and then the creation of laws to enforce the monopolies. So back in the colonial days, they would grow tobacco, and the tobacco fucking magnates, the big tobacco plantations, would get all the licenses to sell the tobacco. Then they were forced to use English only boats to go to England, where it could only be sold in England, and then passed through England, sold off to the rest of the world. It's basically just creating monopolies and then enforcing the monopoly. That's what I got from the 3 minutes of listening to it. Anyway, fucking, where was I? Oh, yeah. Basically, people just wanted to be free the whole time, all throughout history. And they never actually could do it until fucking America came along. And even that has a caveat because what Rothbard was saying in one of the chapters today was these peasants and indentured slaves and poor people and criminals that got shipped over to the colonies in the US, all they ever wanted was some freedom. And when they got the opportunity to own their own land, take possession of their own land in the New World, it's pretty much the first time in their whole fucking histories they've had the opportunity to become somewhat free. But they had no problem taking the land from the Indians. They're like the settlers, despite the fact they had been subjugated for the whole history of their families and their families, seem to have no problems brutally taking the land from the Indians. They'd been peasants in the feudalist system their entire lives, and as soon as they got a chance, they were more than happy just to fucking subjugate the Indians and steal their land. I suppose if you look upon the people who you're taking the land from as non-human, then it makes it a little bit easier to take the land from them. Just like the fucking English did to the Irish. There's some shit in there about what the English did to the Irish, and I knew it was fucked up, but there was a war called the War of Extermination, where the English just exterminated the Irish. The English considered the Irish less than human, non-human, just like they did any native people of any place they ever fucking went. And they just exterminated them. And I'm only up to like 16, 18, and it's becoming abundantly clear that the US would not have got off the ground. The colonies would not have survived without slavery. And that's not black slavery. That didn't come till a little bit later. Well, it came real early, but not on a mass scale. There was indentured servitude before then. And that was like subjugated white people, like Irish, English peasants, criminals, all that sort of shit. Kidnapped people. A lot of people got kidnapped. It's so fucked. And sent to the colonies. So usually, if you're a white slave, indentured servitude they called it, you would get your passage to the New World, and you would have to work for 7 years, and then you would get your freedom and a little block of land, like 50 acres or something like that. So there was a path. If you were a Negro, if you were from Africa, you were just a slave. You were a slave, your kids were a slave, you were just a slave the whole time. There was no getting out of it. The horror of the whole thing is insane. But it's the same people running things now. Same people, different names. Everything's still the same everywhere in the world. It's people desperately trying to live as free people or free men or free women. And the powers that be doing every single thing they can possibly do to keep the foot on the throat. Nothing has changed. Except now, instead of America, we have Bitcoin. It's pretty epic how I crowbarred fucking Bitcoin into that, isn't it? Anyway, you're going to be hearing lots more about Conceived in Liberty by Murray Rothbard. I suppose that was a little bit of Boyle Breaks history. I didn't plan that. I was really just going to go on a 10-minute whinge about work. Anyway, that was probably better. That'll do for tonight, and I'll see ya the fuck later.